What's going on, y'all? Joe Johnston here from Initiate Connections, the best speaker growth consulting company in the space today. And I am here with my man, Sylvester Sly Williams. Sly, good to see you, man. I'm just going to hop right into things. Walk us through a little bit, where you're at. Let's go back. Walk us through when we first connected a couple months ago, where you were at with your speaking business, what it looked like before working together, and then kind of bring us up to speed of kind of what things look like today.
Oh man, essentially when I first started with you guys, man, I didn't have a speaking business. I had wanted to be a speaker for quite some time. It always been a goal of mine. I haven't really put the necessary steps in place, really didn't know how to get started. And so I was able to connect with you and really get going with Initiate Connections. And it's been an amazing journey so far, man. I've learned a lot. I've created a lot of success and really have really built my entire speaking career. Thanks to you guys.
Heck yeah, man. Tell us more about that. Again, I remember when you first reached out and talked to someone from our team. Um, Talk us through, I guess, Sly, what was obviously, I mean, we buried the lead a little bit about your background, you're a Super Bowl champion, built your life up, made it to the NFL and had an incredible success there, and then business success after the NFL. What was really pushing you? Because I still remember that first conversation. What was really pushing you to say you wanted to get into speaking more? I know you had done a little bit before, but what was kind of the internal driving force for you? Because I know you reached out to me too to say, hey, I actually want to be proactive about this and get into speaking further. What was that impetus for you to really take this more seriously?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is, obviously my story. I have a unique story growing up, being raised by a single father, my mother walking out of my life at an early age, both of my parents struggling from drug abuse, my mother going to prison, being kicked out of high school, being held back in the first grade. I was kicked out of school in the eighth grade as well, forced to move in with my sister for a short period of time. And I just think my story, from getting out of high school to working at a radiator factory, for 6 months. And then I'm making the decision to go back to school, not really knowing what the journey would become, just knew that I needed to go to school. I needed to start to work hard. And so taking that step, that leap of faith in myself and going to college and walking on to a community college and ultimately from there, putting the work in to become a Division I athlete, to become a first round draft pick and ultimately go on to win the Super Bowl and have a long career that I'm very proud of. I think just the things that I overcame and the obstacles that, was in my way. And, I had decisions to make, to go left, right, and I chose to go right. And, I've done some volunteer speaking, back in the day, and I've always had a tremendous impact. And for me, it's just like, how can I take my story? How can I take what I've been through? Because there's many people that's in my same situation, coming from the urban communities, poor communities, and parents that's in and out of their life or maybe struggle from drug abuse or whatever the excuse may be. And I call it excuse because, it's something that we can all overcome. And I did so. And a lot of times I think we get caught in the loophole and it's like, well, this is what my life is. And really your life is what you make it. You set the foundation at a young age. So your life can look the way you want it to look when you become my age at the age of 35. I
Mm.
get to do what I want and live the life I want because I didn't make those excuses at that age. I turned them into testimonies and changed my life.
I love it, man. Yeah, super powerful. And I still remember, that initial conversation and you had again we're in the fortunate position where again you're in your mid 30s. You had seen success, professionally, financially, that stuff, but you had gotten to a point where going to the NFL, overcoming what you overcame, winning a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, having a great career there, and then actually going on after that to build a successful business, right? Where you wanted more, right? And you wanted to go and impact these schools and these kids and folks that were, in a position that you once were, that through hearing your message could potentially make that decision as well, right? And turn right as opposed to turning left. So tell me, I guess, a little bit just about that of, we'll get into numbers and that stuff, but the impact that you've been able to make, some of the high schools you've been able to go through, some of the now, conferences, I know some corporations over the past couple of months, like what that's been like for you to impact and to bring your story to others and how that's been different from some other stuff that the success and that stuff. And this is obviously a new journey for you that you're going to be incredibly successful in. But talk to us a little bit about how that's been for you and getting better as a speaker and being able to have that impact and how that's impacted you in your life and career.
I would say this, and I said this actually to the last group I spoke to, and I said this. The feeling I got winning the Super Bowl, I get that same feeling, impacting others. And when I
Yes.
was able to when I'm able to see the reaction that I get from the crowd, the kids, even adults, in my last speech, man, people was in tears. And it's just like, for me, I compare it to winning the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl is the highest level that you can reach in the sport of football. And I felt like for me to impact somebody's life that could have a forever lasting, that can have an impact on them forever. To me, is I get the same feeling because if I can walk into a room and I can lift people in that room up, to me, I feel like this is where I need to be because I've always been a person that, I've always been a motivator, number one. I've always been a leader, and I felt like, I've been successful at that because I've always, use myself as an example. And I'm not going to ask somebody to follow me if I'm not leading the right way. And so for me, going into these rooms, man, and speaking to these kids and even these adults is just the feeling that I get, the reaction that I get, and the love that I feel, man, is just as good as winning the Super Bowl and playing sport of football. And for me, I was at a point in my life where, I was successful, you know, and for me, it was like I didn't really feel the drive that I needed to feel, although I was in business and I had built a successful business. I didn't feel the drive that, you know, that I felt like I should have, the drive that I had before I made it to the NFL that, let's get up and grind. And, I'm really doing something to make a difference because I was able to change my entire family, and for me, when I thought about speaking and when I got into speaking and when I walk back into those rooms and I speak, I get that feeling back. And because for me, it's like I'm not making a difference in my life, I'm making a difference in the world.
Yeah. Dude, that's so powerful. And I will never forget. I remember watching that, first call that you had with our team, and it was about that, right? And you had mentioned waking up and, hey, I've had the success and that stuff, but I still got a lot of life to live and a lot of career, and I'm a man and time to do what I want to do. And you weren't feeling that purpose, you weren't feeling that drive. And really, I think the greatest thing beyond, the financial and, the gigs that you've gotten, it's not about that. It's about the fact that you've got that passion back, you've got that purpose back, you've got that feeling of fulfillment back. And man, I'm sure a lot of folks watching this or can relate and why people want to be speakers. I liken to, I've never made it to the NFL, but I played football in high school and Friday night lights, man. You wake up on Friday and you get that feeling, a little nervous, but you're excited. You're going to show out in front of your fans and you got a home game and all your friends are going to be there. And man, it's nothing like it until you find something like speaking. And I tell all of my speakers I work with, man, when you get that opportunity, it's game day and you can just lock in on that day. Your sole focus is delivering, creating impact, and changing lives. And it's really an amazing, illustrious career. Besides the financials, besides what you can make there is great. You can make a good career out of it. But I think a lot of speakers really care more about that, the impact, what they've done, and then sharing that with others. Let's get into that super quick, and then we'll wrap up with one final question. What has sort of it looked like over the past couple of months working with us? You come in, you've done some volunteer stuff. Around how much have you been able to produce, financially from the speaking gigs? And then around how many gigs have you done? I feel like it's almost like every week you got a new gig, but what does that sort of look like if you were to estimate, hey, I've made about this much since working with Initiate Connections, and I've done about these many gigs working with them over the past couple of months?
Man, I would say, man, I probably have done about 15 gigs, and I would say, man, probably made north of $20,000.
Nice. Pretty good
Yeah, for
start.
sure.
Pretty good start.
Yeah, it is a good start, and I would say, man, that's for me being conservative as well, because it could be a lot more.
Totally. Yeah. And we've talked about, right, in different gigs where you've done at a lower price point because you just wanted the rep. You've done some free gigs within that 15 and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, in the pipeline, continuing to build out, we're just talking about the email stuff and getting into LinkedIn. So very, very illustrious career ahead of you. One final question, Sly, and I just want from your perspective, I know you're a straight shooter and a straight guy. You've been able to rub shoulders and play and make it to the top of the top, right? You've played with, I mean, you won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. You played alongside Von Miller, great defensive player in the league. You've hung out with the real deals in football.
Hmm.
In your perspective, we talk to a lot of people. There's a lot of coaching programs out there. I can sit here all day. Aaron can sit here all day, say, oh, Initiate Connections is the best speaker growth consulting program. And your experience in working with Initiate Connections this far, myself, Aaron, our entire team, what would you say about it? Are we the real deal? Are we legit? What would you say to someone who's kind of on the fence thinking about working with us?
I mean, I would say this, man, like, honestly, I feel like, and I can only speak from the experience I've had with you guys. It's been a phenomenal journey. And when I say from going from ground zero, I mean, not having a website, not having an outreach, not having anything in place. And to start with you guys, I mean, and from my knowledge alone, man, it's been an amazing journey, man. And I honestly, anybody that's on the fence, man, I would tell them to jump in because, number one, I felt like for me, I wish I would have started earlier,
Yeah.
because I've learned so much from you guys and really gained so much traction just from the few months that I've known you guys, and then really the knowledge that come along with it. And what I appreciate the most is, man, is walking me through it step by step. And when I didn't understand something, you guys helping me understand it. And I'm talking about from, my first call, to my first speech, and I'm nervous about, hey man, how do I write the speech? And you guys saying, hey, listen, this is how you go about it. And okay, well, what if I, get nervous? And I remember calling you and saying, hey man, listen, my mouth got dry on stage, and it's just like just educating, man, what to drink before the speech and just everything, man, from literally helping me start an entire career. It's been a blessing, man, to connect with you guys, and I recommend that anybody that's it shouldn't be no such thing as on the fence, man. Go ahead and jump over the fence and get going.
Heck yeah. I love it, man. I love it. And look, man, it's right back to you. I mean, you've been incredible to work with from day one and such a pleasure. And, man, I obviously 20K and what we've done over the past couple months has been great, what you've been able to do. But what I see for you and all of our clients is where you're going. And I mean, just knowing, and we've been with clients a couple years and, you're coming up on, I think, a year here. And it's like, man, it's been an incredible first year together. And I can't wait to continue to grow with you. And I mean, I say all the time, we work with some of the best up and coming next top speakers in the world, and you're one of them. So yeah, man, very,
And
very
listen, I
excited.
do want to say this too, man. I want to speak about the group that you guys got in, jumping on those calls, man, and just hearing the stories. And it's people from all walks of background. Like, I mean, all walks of life. It's like you got athletes, you got uh people from the LGBT community, you got people with disabilities. I mean, it's just to be able to come into that group, man, and just to hear the success that the guys that you guys work with are having, man, and just the excitement in their voices when they booking these calls and just getting in Slack and just seeing the testimony, man, it's been amazing, and it really make my day.
Heck yeah, dude, 100%. And we don't talk about that enough. I mean, the power of community, right? And and being on a team and being around guys and individuals who have a shared mission and goal that they're working for. And it's the same thing. It's like we got 70, 80 speakers right now who their story is different from yours, but they have the same mission, right? Their mission is their passion for their story and their knowledge, and bringing that out there to the world and impacting and changing lives. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, and that's a super powerful component as well. Sylvester, man, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If we haven't talked yet, we will chat with you soon, and keep speaking, keep impacting lives. We'll chat soon. Thanks, y'all.